The three pillars of the world. The world stands on three things: Torah, Avodah Hashem, and Chesed. Torah has been mistranslated as law. A law is an instruction, but not all instructions are law. In the Torah is where we find our identity and our mission. It is divided into oral and written. Don't you think for a minute that Moshe Rabbeinu went away for 40 days and nights just to come back with 10 simple commandments? That is wrong. Just as you attend secular classes, there are some things that you write and some things that you don't. The second pillar is Avodah Hashem. It's when you worship your Creator. And how do you do that? We do that when we put into practice what we have learned from the Torah HaKadoshah. That way, we are impacting with our actions the spiritual world. It is divided into three: your prayers, which are tefillah or tefillot in plural, your commandments, which are your mitzvot, and the temple service. Remember, we no longer have a temple. However, the way in which you can fulfill the commandments that you can no longer physically do is by reading and studying about them. That's why in some Sidurim, you're going to find, let's say, the offering of the incense. And you need to read through that when you're doing your prayers, because that's the way that you're fulfilling that particular mitzvah. Another example, which is very simple, is when you elevate a simple act of drinking water or having a piece of bread or having a fruit, and you do that connecting the material world with the spiritual world by saying the appropriate bracha. Bracha is a blessing. So you're going to have a blessing that goes before you eat or drink, and one that goes after you eat or drink. And that's the way that you're going to worship Hashem in that particular action. Chesed is very simple, but it means a lot. It's an act of loving kindness. It's like when, for example, you give money to charity. With Chesed, acts of loving kindness, you are telling your brother that you are his or her keeper. You are telling your brother that he or she is not alone. Now, when we study something, we need to take away what's important and apply it. Because if we're only listening and we're not applying, then it's not worth it. You can start thinking about questions and applying what you have learned. For example, from these three pillars of the world, we can ask ourselves, have you studied Torah today? Probably you didn't. Well, you can start now. It is as simple as 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. You don't have to take more than that if you don't have the time. A second question, did you put what you learned to practice? Did you give tzedakah? We give tzedakah, for example, before we do a mitzvah, before doing a commandment. So if you're commanded to pray, why don't you have a tzedakah box next to your siddur? And before you go to pray, add a coin. We usually add 3 coins, 3 silver coins, but you can add whatever you have. That's just to give you a practical example. In the same light, have you given tzedakah today? Not only for the mitzvah, but for the box that you have over there. If you need to put something, the income that you got today, have you taken out some of it for tzedakah? If you need to do more reading, you can go to Pirkei Avos 1-2. You can like, you can subscribe, you can also share. Also, we have a newsletter for Rosh Chodesh. So every beginning of the month, If you send us an email to the email listed on the screen, you can get our newsletter. Lehitraot.